So week 7 is here already. This is 5 guys I would buy low now that you can maybe get on a steal deal going into week 7. The number one guy, I think, is Michael Thomas. He hasn't played all year, and I don't know if fantasy managers will risk giving up a lot for Michael Thomas. He played 1 game in the beginning of the year. He got hurt, and we haven't seen him since. Then he got into a fight with a teammate. So then they sat him down in week 5. He's coming off the bye. I'm guessing he's 100% now off the high ankle sprain. And Michael Thomas, when he's right, he's a 1 or 2 receiver top in this league. So Michael Thomas, he's coming back this week. I think he's 100%. And maybe managers have dealt well without playing Thomas, and they could get away with it, and they maybe could trade him now for something. So if Thomas is out there, I would definitely try to go get Michael Thomas. You know, he's their number 1 option in that offense. Things will open up, and honestly, no one could cover this guy. He's a matchup nightmare for cornerbacks with his hands and his route running. So if Michael Thomas is in your league on the trade block, and you could get him for a cheaper deal than you would when he plays, you go get him as my number 1 buy low candidate going into week 7 before he has a big game this week and it's too late. The second guy to get, we saw him last night. He definitely struggled, 2 fumbles. That's been a huge issue for him on the season, is Ezekiel Elliott. Now with 4 fumbles on the year, he just hasn't had that big rushing game. Dalton, a lot of dump offs though. He was throwing to Elliott. Dalton, he did not look good at all, and neither did that Cowboy offense. But they got 2 good matchups coming up now in Washington and Philly, and Elliott, he's still a top 5 running back in this league. And if you could get him cheap for like a low-end 2 receiver and a high 2 running back, that's a guy to go out there and get. Elliott managers might be frustrated, even though Elliott, he had some good fantasy days with Dak Prescott in there, but we know Dak's not coming back this season, and Elliott with the fumble issues and the burst just don't seem to be there. So if you could get your hands on Elliott on a cheap deal, you go get it, because in my opinion, he could still put up high number 1 numbers to low-end running back numbers. So this is the week to go get Elliott, because that offense looked out of sync and out of tune. But the schedule will improve a little for the Cowboys in the next 2 weeks. If Elliott's on the block, go out there and make an offer to try and go get Zeke the Freak, because he could help you win games, in my opinion, still. So you go get him. A third guy that I would try to go get this week, and maybe you could get him low, is Lockett. He's in probably the best or second best offense in football right now with Russell Wilson, who's the MVP leader right now, in my opinion. So if you could get Lockett on the cheap in a number 1 or 2 offense in this league, you go get him, man. Lockett, you know he's going to have some big games. I know his last 2 games, he hasn't performed like you would want him to for a low-end, high 2 receiver. But this is the time to go get him, I think. His bye week is up. He's off the bye. He's coming off 2 bad games. I don't think managers value him as high. They're thinking more about Chris Carson and DK Metcalf getting most of the work there. So I think Lockett, you could get him on a cheap deal, and he might be a good guy to go get this week before he has another big game, and you'll have to overpay for him going into week 8 then. Fourth candidate to get in buy low this week, I think, is Cam Newton. He's coming off having COVID and a bad game versus the Denver Broncos. By Cam Newton, he's in an easy division except Buffalo. So you know he's going to get the Jets twice and Miami 1 more time, even though they've played tough, Miami. Cam Newton, he's getting the rushing yards. He's running a lot. The Patriots, I think they'll get their stuff together as this week comes on. They haven't practiced, I think, in 2 weeks going into that Bronco game. And Cam Newton, you know, he's a warrior. You know, he's playing for a contract. So he's going to run a lot. That's bonus points. Obviously, getting rushing yards from your quarterback, and I think you could get Cam Newton for a minor running back 2 or low 1 or even a receiver. So if Cam Newton owner is frustrated with Newton, you could go out there, and I think you could get Cam Newton pretty cheap this week, and you could plug him in for most of the season and start him in your lineup without worrying. He had a bad game and still had 18 fan points because of the rushing yards. I think he had 70, and the Patriots, they're going to keep running him because he gives them the best chance to win games. The running backs haven't done much. Harris with a horrible game. James White looked good catching the ball, but Julian Edelman, Harry, and Bird, they haven't done much now the last few weeks. So if you could go get Cam Newton, he's got some good matchups coming up in the next few weeks. You could get him for nothing, I think, something low, and that would be a good get to get Cam Newton as a buy low candidate coming into week 7 of the fantasy football season. The 5th guy I would buy low, he's still injured, but reports are saying week 9 he should be back, is Christian McCaffrey. You know McCaffrey's going to be the workhorse in that Panther offense. We've seen Mike Davis have 3 big games. Last week, a little downfall for Mike Davis with only 12 points in PPR leagues. But Christian McCaffrey, if an owner's struggling, the McCaffrey owner, and say he's 2-4 or 1-5, and he's got to make a move and he can't wait till week 9 for McCaffrey to come back, I think you could go pounce on it and you go trade for him, because you know he'll be the vocal point of that Panther offense. So if you're in position and you want McCaffrey, this is the week to go get it with his timetable of coming back being pushed back. So this is a 5th and final guy of the 5 guys I say you should go out there and buy low before it's too late in week 7 of the fantasy football season.